So I think let's get started. And as you all have gotten the warning, you're probably aware that this meeting is being recorded. So if you don't want to show up in the recording, you simply don't have to speak because only the speaker is being recorded. But if you still want to have a question, you can always pop it in the chat and we'll get it anyways. Otherwise, I'll leave it to Chris to say how he wants to address questions. And with that, I'm very happy to welcome our Program Quality Director, Tina Tates, and our Club Growth Director, Linda Wortmann, as well as all our other district officials, and of course, all our club officers here for the Vice President of Education Training. Now, our trainer today is a 2017 district champion in the international speed contest, and since then, he has tried and tried again. So please, as soon as he is running for office, please elect him so someone else in his club has a chance to move to the district international speech contest. But today I'm very happy that he is my trainer. So let's all welcome Christopher Rauer.
Thank you very much, sir. And thank you for definitely trying to get me out of competition. My wife would thank you for that. And we want to welcome everybody to today's training. I am so glad that you're here, and I'm going to do two things, I promise. One, I'm not going to go over time. Urzi's going to be timing me, and at 50 minutes, she's been told to start yelling at me, gunshots, air horns, whatever it takes to shut me up. And the second, I'm going to make my best attempt to make this more than just a training. Now, first thing I do want to ask is everybody, if you're comfortable with it, would you please in the chat put your name, the clubs you're with, as far as VPE, phone number, email address, any contact information you're comfortable with. Now, the reason I ask that is simple. When it comes to the Vice President Education, your best resource is your fellow VPEs. I've learned this the hard way. All right, I'll just give everyone just a quick second to start putting their names in there. And at the end of this, everyone should be able to save. All right, now that I see a few people have put their names in there, we're gonna keep rocking and rolling. We're moving on. I have done pretty much every job in Toastmasters as far as the club goes, except treasurer, but that's because I'm bad with money. And this is going to be my opinion here, but I believe the most daunting, the most, I don't even know how to describe the issues that I've dealt with, but also the most fulfilling role has been VPE. Does anyone else feel that way? Feel free to raise your hand if you want to. And if you have your camera off, you can just digitally raise your hand. Totally cool with that. I see a few people have raised their hands. Well, today I'm going to try to make that job a little bit easier. And just to kind of get a feel for my audience, how many people, because we're going into the new year, this is going to be the first time you've been a VPE? Go ahead and raise your hand. All right, I see a few of you out there. How many have been VPE more than 5 times? All right, I think I saw, was that Veronica, did you have your hand up saying you've been a VP 5 times? Ah, okay, I thought I saw your hand up. All right, let's do this a faster way. If you think you've been the VP the most times of anyone in this presentation, go ahead and put your name and how many times you've been VPE in the chat. All right, see a few people putting their names in there. All right. So it looks like, and correct me if I am wrong, I think it's going to be Michelle. So Michelle, you got a job today. Didn't know you were going to get that, did you? You're going to call me out when I'm wrong. And
okay, be ready for it.
I am totally ready for that, because that's the thing about these educational sessions. None of us know everything, but together we know everything.
Yep.
All right. So moving on, let's go ahead. I'm going to start by sharing my screen. And I love how for some reason I still cannot open up in presentation mode. Come on. Someday I will get that to work. All right. So today, first thing we're going to talk about is the Vpe responsibilities. And we're going to break this down into 3 simple subjects: the club meeting, outside the club meeting, and the executive committee. Pretty simple, right? Now, just so everybody knows, this is where I got all this information from. And if you'd like, feel free to go ahead and take a screenshot of this, because this is all from the TI website. But if you don't want to, don't worry. I'm going to show you a little later in my presentation how to find all this. I'm going to wait about 10 seconds. All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop my share here, and we're going to kind of go through what the VPE does. So first things first, let's talk about the responsibilities of the VPE. Anyone want to hazard a guess or go through the entire list? Nope, nobody? That's okay. Because fortunately for us, TI gave us a nice little list for that. And you can find this on the website, but this is a basic summary of what the Vice President Education does. Now, we're going to go through the responsibilities as well as the skills learned. So today we're going to talk about setting up club meetings, managing club schedules, manage member progress. We're going to do all that today, and plus all this other stuff that's on this list. But feel free to read that at your earliest convenience. Or when I show you a little bit later, how to find it online. All right. So first things first, let's talk about the club meeting itself and your responsibilities as the VPE. Now, before the meetings, we all love doing it, I'm sure, scheduling roles. Now, according to TI, it's your job as the VPE to review that. Now, you may have different club cultures, And some of your clubs, it may be you entirely. Your job is to make sure every role is filled. It might be you in conjunction with the Toastmaster. It might be you in conjunction with various members. I'm actually the VP of 3 clubs. One club, I write the entire agenda for, and then everyone tells me, no, I can't fill that role. And I do that 3 months in advance. But that's a club that meets once a month. I'm also the VP of 2 clubs that meet on a weekly basis. And that is pretty much on a volunteer/voluntold basis of who's going on the agenda. Or you can sign up and get what you want. You also offer support to the Toastmaster, especially when you have new Toastmasters, because that's one of the most daunting roles for a new Toastmaster, is that first time that they're going to be the Toastmaster. And I think I've said Toastmaster enough times in one sentence. But in reality, you're there to support them as they work on the role. They may not know how to contact members. Your new Toastmaster, they may not know all the roles to fill or what they need to do or where to find the scripts that they have to be read. Now, depending on your club, you may also schedule education sessions. One of my clubs, once a month, we have right at the beginning of the meeting, we have an education session. And it's my role to ask one of the officers to give us a nice little pearl of wisdom. Now, you're supposed to make sure that members conduct presentations from the Successful Club Series, which is item 289 on the Toastmaster International website. I'm going to show you how to find out what that is. That's basically, you want to make sure that they are using the Pathways program. Now, I know some people like it, some people love it, and then there's other people as well that are still learning it and still getting used to it. And that's perfectly fine. But you definitely want to encourage your members to not just go through and click next. You want them to really learn from these, because there's a lot of really great stuff in the Pathways, not just the reading, but in the videos and really the thought process. And also, and one of my personal favorite roles is VPE, notify the club president of education awards. Now, depending on your club, it might be, hey, once at the meeting, the business meeting, it might be, hey, we got another person, got an education award. Personally, I love to celebrate those education awards. They're a big thing. And part of that is because, again, I just like playing music in a meeting. Don't worry, I won't play it today. But also, success breeds success. When people see other people succeeding, they want that too. They want to have their name. They want to have fireworks. They want me to play Celebrate Good Times. Yeah. Okay, that's it. That's all I'm going to sing. You're welcome. But again, it depends on your club culture as far as how you celebrate and notify president as well as the rest of the club how they're doing, how members are doing on education awards. Now, you do want to also help the Toastmaster by helping verify that as people arrive, as the members arrive, they're prepared for the roles. And that might mean, hey, did you contact your evaluator? Did you even select evaluator if in your club you select evaluators? Hey, Toastmaster, I see you're trying to find a few roles. I found a few people that don't have roles. Here you go. Whatever you can do to help that Toastmaster makes their life a little bit easier, makes your life a little bit harder, but also more rewarded. Now, once you get to the club meeting, like any good officer, you want to help greet guests. Now, when we were meeting in person, there might be 2 or 3 guests, which is great. Well, the sergeant at arms can't meet them all. So feel free to jump in. Online, you just got to make sure you don't step on someone when they're trying to talk. And you do it, again, depending on your club culture, it may be you who talks to the guests and say, hey, Do you want to do table topics? What's that? Okay, it's where you get to talk extemporaneously. I practiced that word for an hour. Or it might be your table topics master. Again, how does your club do this? So during the club, we've already talked about you also preside over meetings when necessary. You might be the presiding officer because you are second in command. And then last but not least, and I'm going to bring this up since our Toastmaster brought it up already. Guess who starts the ball rolling when it comes to contests? That's right. We do as VPs. Now, you can still be a contestant as long as you can find someone else to run the actual contest. But that's your job. Now, outside of the meeting, like I said, you do help plan it. You definitely want to promote the Pathways Education Program. And one of the other things that I find very fulfilling is you help orient new members. Now, depending again on your club culture, you may be the person sending them the email that says, hey, this is how you get into our website and sign up for roles. You might do onboarding training with them as far as how to use Pathways, how to figure out what their first path is going to be, how to sign up for roles. But one of your really most important jobs is to encourage new members to participate, not push them, not say, I am the VPE, you will be the timer next week, but to encourage them with kindness. You also get to assign mentors, because that's one of your programs that you are in charge of, is the mentorship program. And I would be willing to bet that everybody in this room at one point in your Toastmaster career has had a mentor. Maybe that mentor didn't know it, but still. But as a VP, it's your job to formally get the mentor-mentee relationship going. And then you get to attend those awesome club executive committee meetings. And then, not just do you get to go to those meetings, you get to go to the district council meetings as well. Those are lots of fun, especially when there's runoffs. That's the best. So again, definitely want to attend those district council meetings because you and the president get to vote. Now, I don't think, and I think we talked about this already, but Tina can confirm this later in the meeting. There is no proxies this year for any votes that are going to be held at the district council meeting. Am I correct?
Yes, because we are virtual.
All right. So you don't have to turn your camera on. So, hey, this is one of those council meetings where you can show up in your pajamas. Just don't turn your camera on. Then outside the club, we've talked about you already help members progress in Basecamp, and I'm going to show you how to look at Basecamp and see where people are at. Arrange for any replacements. So what should be happening, what you can work with your members on is they can confirm in the agenda if they're going to be at the meeting or not. And if someone says, nope, not going to be there, you're going to get that email telling you. The Toastmaster should get it, but you're going to get it. And you can let the Toastmaster know, hey, do you need help finding a replacement? And then last but not least, prepare your successor. I was fortunate. I've had some really great mentors as far as learning the VPE office, and they still continue to help me. I've had Reka Nair, I've had Joe Brinkmeyer, I've had Sandy Marshall. They have all helped me so much as far as learning this role. So it's just because you are an officer doesn't mean you don't still need a mentor for the new role that you are taking on. Because like I said, it's demanding but rewarding. And we'll talk a little bit about the executive committee and your job there. You get to do two things: present the education program report and share information on upcoming speech contests. All right. And then the last thing I'd like to talk about, we've talked about everything you're going to do, but one other thing that you can do if you're meeting, if you actually have a lot of members, and there are a few clubs out there that do that, you can also create what's called an education committee. And this is basically you're meeting with these members to help you with the educational goals for the Distinguished Club program. So I'm going to go ahead and stop for a moment and open it up to any questions. All right, I'm going to ask and make sure, can everybody still hear me? All right, I got some smiles. If no one responded, I was going to go with Bueller, Bueller, Bueller. All right, I see a few people laughing. You got to love it when you reference pop culture. I swear I can speak. I've only been speaking for the last 5 hours today. But when you can reference pop culture, it's all good. So VJ, I see that you're asking if we're going to talk about how to organize a speech contest. So that's actually not in this training, but if we have some extra time, I'll try to show you where on the Toastmasters International website you can find that. Because that's what I'm going to do next, is I'm going to show you how to find a lot of this information on the TI website, as well as contacting Toastmasters International, because I can tell you they answer the phone quickly and they answer well. So I see that we had a question from Raina. How do other clubs split up VP duties, if at all? Again, that's going to be dependent on the club itself. And that's something you can just definitely discuss with your executive committee if there's too many duties on one person, or like I talked about, you can create an educational committee. Oh, Roger, some clubs, yeah, some still struggle with pathways, but as far as what I've been seeing, especially in my clubs, they have definitely been starting to pick it up. As far as the rules that I've read, Nancy, yes. If no one wants to compete, your club can vote to send someone to the area contest. And thank you, Michelle, for confirming that some clubs do divide that. Again, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Michelle, it basically depends on the way your club operates, because we're all separate clubs. We can all go autonomously. So one thing I have found, Michael, that has helped, and I've actually done it at one of my clubs, is I had an outside the meeting. So I just created a separate meeting and went through pathways, how to set it up. And quite the members that, even though they knew how to do it, they still learned a few things. So sometimes trying to do that type of training in a meeting doesn't always work, is what I found. And Ursi, thank you for speaking up. If you have any questions about implementing pathways, reach out to your area directors, and they can also help you find the information you need, or even possibly when they do their area director visits, you can get them to tell you all about how to use pathways. And there's a few area directors out there going, stop it. All right. Any other questions before we move on? All right, not hearing any. We're going to go ahead and we're going to move on. If I could ask Ursi, what is our time at right now, so I can keep my promise about not going over?
We are at 23 minutes. You're doing
Perfect.
great.
Right where I sort of want it to be, within plus or minus 2 minutes. All right, so next I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. Once I get onto the right screen. And let me ask, does this look familiar to anybody? I saw a few hands go up. So I've gone ahead, I've logged into my VPE, and you can see, hey, I can log into Basecamp Manager. This is logging into Basecamp Manager. Now you, as the Vice President of Education, can log in. You'll get this. If you're not a Vice President of Education, Secretary, or President, you don't get this bar. You don't get the selection. Now I will tell you, because I had a VPE try it just for testing purposes, if you log into Basecamp Manager and try to approve your own pathways, it knows and it says, you can't approve yourself, or every VPE would be a DTM, right? Yeah, I did that, I swear. No, they don't. So if you are saying, hey, I finished a pathway, cool. Now, the other place we're going to talk about today is under Leadership Central. And we're going to talk about how to go into the club officer tools. We're going to go ahead, we're going to go into Club Central. You can see all the clubs that I'm an officer of. And we're going to walk through how to approve in both pathways in Basecamp as well as Club Central, because you got to do both when it comes to approving a path. Path completion, that's different. And we'll talk about that in about 10 minutes. Thank you, Nancy. I'm not sure if we tried it in both, we tested in both spots, but it did deny in the first one. But maybe we tried something wrong. But still, oh, it changed. Okay, cool. See, that's the wonderful thing about doing these trainings is you'll learn something. But still, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, best practice is don't approve yourself. Ask your president or your secretary to approve you. Then then it's everything's on the up and up, right? Okay. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to start with Basecamp, and I'm going to log in as the VPE of Digital Transformation. Mainly because that's the club I'm going to tonight, and I need to make sure that everybody's been approved. So let's go ahead and log in. And I do that every time, and it keeps asking me to do it. So let's go ahead and first off, check out pending requests. Do we have any? Well, as you can see, I don't. I did earlier, but someone appears to have already approved it. Now you're saying, well, wait a minute, Chris, how can someone else approve it other than your VPE, the president, or the secretary? This is one thing that you want to make sure your members understand, especially members that are in multiple clubs. When they say, I've completed a project, there's an email that gets sent out to you, the VPE, but it gets sent out to every VPE of every club that member's in. So then it becomes a race by the VPEs to go, I got it. I need that DCP point or DCP goal. So you want to make sure your members know that, hey, when you're submitting completion of a level, that they let the VPs of their other clubs know this is not for you, this is for this club, and vice versa, so that you get the goal that you need. Now, keep in mind, Basecamp and Club Central, very different. Basecamp is what you're telling Toastmasters pathway, hey, I've completed a level and it's been approved. So then they can get that nice certificate and keep moving and completing their path. Club Central, on the other hand, when you approve it there, that is so that you're telling TI, hey, this goes towards our DCP goals. Now, this is very important to understand, because when a member completes a path, not a level, but an actual path, you only have to approve it in Pathways, Basecamp. You don't approve it in Club Central because there is nothing to approve in Club Central. I learned that the incredibly hard way. I spent 3 hours looking it up and then called TI and they gave me an answer in 10 minutes. Apparently I wasn't the first person to ask. So any questions on why Basecamp versus Club Central are different and you have to make sure you approve in both places? All right, I'm not seeing any. So let's keep moving on. So now Pathways has a lot of really, really good stuff to use as far as Basecamp goes. You can review member progress. If you click on it, sometimes it opens, sometimes it takes forever and a half. Let's find out what's going to happen today. It's going to open up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. All right, I feel a little foolish.
Chris,
There it goes.
Chris,
Yes.
try again
There it goes.
on looking for pending requests.
I can do that. All right, so we're going back to pending request as per our area director Urzi's request. We wait for it to open up. There's the one I was looking for. Thank you. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to approve Urzi. Urzi and I actually talked about this a little earlier. So I've already Urzi emailed me. I've already gone ahead and checked out that this is all done. We're going to go ahead and prove it. Talk about fortuitous, right? We didn't talk about this last week, did we, Urzi? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and approve Urzi's pathway real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and select it. Move this over a little bit. And that's different. Come on. All right, mine's is misbehaving for some reason. I'm not quite sure why. Oh, I always forget. This is the other thing you got to remember is you got to click the approve sign, the plus check. And we're going to say, thank you, Urzi. We're going to click submit. And I'm pretty sure I spelled Urzi's name wrong because I forgot the S, but I'm sure Urzi will forgive me, right, Urzi?
Yes.
All right. So now we're going to go ahead and jump over to the TI site. I'm going to go ahead and log in as digital transformation. Submit education awards. Now this, you got to select a member. In this case, it's Urzi. Select education program. In humor, level 3. Now this is one thing you definitely want to make sure as far as level 3 and higher, there is a letter of recognition that you can actually have sent to your employer. Level 1 and level 1s and 2, this isn't there, but level 3, 4, and 5, you have to say yes or no. Urzi, would you like a letter of recognition sent to your employer?
No.
All right, so that makes it easy. No. Then you click review and award submission. Make sure everything is there. If you are doing a letter of recognition, it would show you the IP address, sorry, not the IP address, but the email address and who it's going to, and you click submit. And now Urzi, in about 30 seconds, will get an email saying, congratulations, you did it. And you as the VPE can either return to Club Central or submit another award. All right. So any questions on how to submit the awards? All right, I'm not seeing any questions. Either I'm doing a really, really good job or everyone's falling asleep on me. I see a few smiles, so I think I'm doing a good job. Not a problem, VJ. So now the next thing we're going to talk about, we did talk about a little bit about checking your, go back. Someday that pop-up thing will stop. You can check your member progress. I'm not going to click on it again because we all know how long it takes, but this is a really good tool so you can see where your various members are. It will actually give you a chart and show you where they are at in their pathways journey. And if there's ones that you can actually look at on a weekly basis, daily basis, just where they're at. And it's a really good, if you see someone kind of falling behind or hasn't moved forward, this is one of those times when you may talk to their mentor or you may talk with them and say, hey, is there anything I can do to help you? Because I see you've been a level 2 for several months. Okay. So VJ said, thank you. And Penny says, you're falling asleep. I'm still not going to sing, so you're welcome. All right. And there are some manager tutorials as well. I would highly recommend watching these. They're actually pretty good. Make sure you're sitting down and have some coffee when you watch them, but they are full of a wealth of information. All right. Last thing I promised, and I'm going to go ahead and go to home again, is we're going to talk about getting we're going to talk about in Leadership Central, we're going to talk about where to find this training material that I'm using, as well as we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about some of the tools that you have. So first off, we're going to start off at Club Central. Now, again, I had already logged in as digital transformation, but as you can see, I could log in as any one of the officer roles that I'm in, because I'm actually an officer in Kirkland Eclectics, Toastmasters Extraordinaires, Cosmos, and Digital Transformation. Yes, I am the glutton for punishment, but I've also learned so much doing all that work. But we've already talked about where to go for submitting education awards, but let's talk about if you want to go and get your Distinguished Performance Report. That's a little farther down. We'll go ahead and click on that. And here is Digital Transformation. As you can see, this club is doing very, very well. Needs a few more goals, but hey, we still got half a year to go. This is where you can you get all this information when it was chartered, the base, how many members, what you need to do. This is one of those things we talked about where you're going to give this information during your executive committee. You also might be giving it during your business meeting. Say, hey, everybody, we need 2 more level 1s. We can do it. So any questions on how to get there? All right.
Chris,
Well, last but certainly not least.
Chris,
Yes.
do you want to explain why my level 3 isn't showing up on the Distinguished Performance Report yet?
Great point, Urzi. So once you approve it, it's sent out, it's actually done, but I have found that sometimes it takes up to 24 hours before it actually will post as being awarded. So you definitely want to let your members know. All right. You definitely want to let your members know, hey, if you don't see that email within 24 hours of this email, let me know and we'll figure out why it didn't get approved. Because I have had a few times where I've had to call up and there was a glitch in the system. We found it. I said, yep, what do I got to do? And this is contacting TI. They're really great about helping you as the VPE get these awards correct. So did that answer your question, Ursi?
Oh, it wasn't a question. I was just saying, can you add that part?
Okay, yes, I can add that part. Toastmaster International, sometimes it's pretty quick, sometimes it is slow. It's just kind of hit and miss. I guess it depends on if everyone's submitting awards at the same time. It's sort of like at work when everyone's logging in at the same time, it takes you 10 minutes to log in. All right, so the last thing I want to show everybody under Leadership Central, we talked about club officer tools. We talked about, we've gone to Club Central. We talked about club officer tools. We talked about your Distinguished Club Report. But now let's go ahead and talk about where you can find all the information I've been discussing. If you go to Club Officer Tools, that letter I talked about, the leader letters, you got the club officer roles, I like this one. You can actually go down and, hey, that's where I got the letter. There's actually a tutorial, and I did the self-evaluation, and it will show you things that, hey, this is a good resource for you. This is a good resource to say, hey, you need to learn how to do X, Y, or Z better or understand something better. So I definitely recommend, if you've been a VPE 13 times like Michelle, or if this is the first time you've been a VPE, this is not a bad idea. Go ahead and read that role summary, view the tutorial, do the self-evaluation. Same thing under if we go back to Leadership Central, under Club Officer Tools, you got membership building, you've got the Club Officer resources. Remember that I told you there's a nice little slideshow? You can find it all right here in as many languages as you can, that I know of, a few that I don't. And if worst comes to worst, the search tool works really well. Remember I told you about item 289? Didn't come up this time. Let's try it. If I remember this, did I find it this way? There it is. The Successful Club Series Set. There's item 289. So the search does really, really work. So that's pretty much my training and my presentation today. If you have any questions, because we are in the red and I don't want to go over, I'm going to go ahead and close this out, but feel free to put them in the chat. We'll go ahead and save them. And if we don't know the answer, hey, together we can find it, right? Thanks. And back to you, Mr. Division E Director.
Thank you so much, Chris. And we actually have around 6 minutes for questions. So if there are any ones. I see all the hands applauding going down. Well, as everyone seems to be either completely overwhelmed by the great presentation or furiously typing out their questions right now, let me introduce our Program Quality Director, Tina Tate, for the district announcements.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Well, Chris, that was a fabulous training. Thank you so much. I learned a few things. I'm not a VPE. I've not been a VPE, but if I were to be a VPE, now I know how. So thank you for that. Maybe I'll do it sometime in the future. I would like to remind you all of the club officer trainings that are happening. Tell all of your club officers and anybody else that you can think of that club officer training is happening all the way to February 28th. So you can get your Super 7 all the way to February 28th. So there's no reason why any club cannot get all of their officers trained. We have a huge variety of offerings as well as dates and times. I'm popping in the chat the link to the calendar that has all of the dates. I do want to highlight that on February 5th, which is a Saturday, we do have our leaders breakfast. So even if you've attended training, we would love for you to come to our leaders breakfast. We're going to have some fantastic leaders or speakers telling us about leadership. Lee Amantangelo is one of the speakers, and we're in the process of trying to get another very special speaker that you don't want to miss. So again, that's February 5th is our leaders breakfast. Tell all of your friends. This is not just for officers, it's for everyone. So I hope that you all can be there. And now I'd like to turn it over to Linda Vorthman for any announcements that she might have.
Oh, thank you, Tina. Chris, thank you again. Great presentation, really loved it. And you are the VPE of my club, so I'm very privileged. Our district announcement is we are assigning club coaches. Any club that has 12 members or less does qualify for a club coach. And tonight we're having another training, and it's open to everybody as always. But if you think you might possibly be interested in being a club coach, or if you have a club that is small, you might want to attend tonight's meeting. It's from 6:30 to 8. And I do want to point out that there's a very special opportunity right now for anybody that signs up to be a club coach before December 31st. You can be a district officer and use that towards your Distinguished Toastmaster Award. And you can compete in contests, which normally you can't do. But to earn this accreditation, you would have to bring a club from the current 12 or less that it stands at. You'd have to bring them to 20 members and help them to be distinguished by June of this year. But if you don't, then you would still earn your club coach credit. You just wouldn't get district credit. So it's a high goal, but it's not an impossible goal. So come join us tonight if you're interested. And I don't know who I'm turning this back to. I'm sorry.
It goes back to me. So thank you, Tina and Linda, for the announcement. And of course, thank you to Chris for the wonderful speech. And of course, also thank you to Urzi for being both the timer and impromptu the greeter at the beginning of the meeting. Now, there are two important things we'd like you to take away. One is, we of course want to know whether we should get Chris back, and I'm sure all of you want that. But for that, please fill out the survey that we just put in the chat, which tells us what you liked about the training, what you didn't like, and what we can improve next time. Or if you say, no, I'm never going to be VPE again, if that's the training we are getting, please let us know too, because then definitely we want to learn from that. And the second, we really want to be Chris to be area director for area 54 next year. And for that, please fill out the call for nominations for the, and I'm very sorry, somehow my mute button stopped working a minute ago, but for nominating Chris for area director 54, which he still can do even though he's competing, go to the nomination page at D2TM, and then maybe next year he'll be the area director taking over from Urzi. And with that, thank you everyone for being here. And I really need one button for all devices, but we'll be done a bit earlier today. And I'm sure we can send the request, the survey to everyone's email, as well as I think all the material that Chris shared. So have a great rest of your Monday.
If you want to take the few minutes that we are off early and fill out that survey, that would be great. That way you don't forget. Do it while it's fresh in your mind.
All that. I mean, we're 10 minutes early. So.
Thanks for the club training today. Really appreciate it. And just one question, is there anything else I need to do to get the credit for this, or is just complete the survey and then?
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
Just being here today gets you credit. I know who you all are.
Okay, thank you.
Everybody have a great day.